Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to another YouTube video. My name's Ketan. I am that day-to-day guy and just a regular guy trying to improve his filmmaking skills and just share some bits of life on YouTube. If you're here for the first time, thank you for watching. If you're back again after watching previous content, thank you for supporting the channel by continuing to watch. So, as I said in last week's video, I'm going to be doing a review on my Feiyu Tech Scorp 2 gimbal and also my Freewell Anamorphic lens. So before we get started on that, I just want to give a little bit of a disclaimer. So I am by no means a full expert in the world of video making online or the iPhone. This is something that I've always done for work purposes, but earlier this year, I kind of wanted to elevate my filmmaking skills. So I went down the rabbit hole of YouTube and DaVinci Resolve in terms of editing and so on, and I bought a bunch of equipment. So before I bought this equipment, I wanted to do some research and figure out whether, for me, it wasn't necessarily about not wanting to spend the money on things, but I just didn't want to spend money unnecessarily. So the question was, on some of these lenses, is it worth it? And AliExpress have a lens, which I have in my pocket, one of my pockets, this one. AliExpress have this lens here, which is a 1.33 times anamorphic lens. And it's great. It's £35, 30 to £35 shipped from China. And it does the job. It's a blue streak. So one of the things about anamorphic lenses is you get these lens flares, which create a nice kind of film-like effect. But what the main reason behind an anamorphic lens is that you have a much wider scope of field. So what it does, it doesn't stretch the image, doesn't widen the image in the height, but it widens the image on the width. And then you get a 2.35, on this case, you get a 2.35 to 1 film ratio, which is basically what most films are filmed in. When you're watching films on your telly, you'll have a black bar at the top and the bottom. Previously on YouTube videos, I also said about, not waiting for that perfect moment. And as you can probably hear, there's a plane above me. I live in Windsor and we are on a flight path here. So yesterday was the perfect day to do this. But unfortunately, I didn't have my mic set up correctly. So I did record a whole bunch of stuff, but unfortunately, it wasn't YouTube friendly or worthy of YouTube. Worthy of anything, in fact, because the mic was just clicking against my my chain. But anyway, different story. Anamorphic lenses. So the question was, I'd seen some more expensive lenses online, and one of the things now, I didn't even think that, I've never used an ND filter before. Frankly, I hadn't even heard of an ND filter before. I would just get my phone and I'd just film outside without even thinking. But you know how you watch some people's videos and the quality is just that much better and you can't quite put your finger on it? And an ND filter is that. For filming outside, if you're going to film outside during the day, you do need an ND filter. And unfortunately, this lens I've got in my pocket here, there's no easy way to fit one here. I did fashion one up and it just wasn't practical. So therefore, unless you're going to film at nighttime, this lens is not ideal for an ND filter. Also, it's too light. So when you rotate it with your ND, if you had a variable ND filter, if you rotated it, it would just spin too much. So, but it's still great to kind of mess around with. But if you're going to take this seriously at all and want to improve your content to a point where it's better than average, then I can't wholeheartedly say I would recommend this. Before I went to India, I did buy this lens and I bought a Freewell lens as well. And in my previous video, I did say this is excellent. And it kind of, it's one of those weird ones that everyone's got kind of a certain budget they're willing to spend. But for £35, for £35, this is excellent. The Freewell lens, however, is this. It's a nice chunk of metal, basically, with glass, obviously. So that's the lens there. This is the gold streak one. The neutral streak one is on the neutral streak. When I mean streak, I mean the lens flare, the color of the lens flare. This one is gold. The neutral streak one is the one that's on the phone at the moment. I use an iPhone 15 Pro Max to do my filming on. My 16 Pro Max is my everyday phone, and currently the 16 Pro Max is there on the floor. Blackmagic have their camera app enables you to see what you're seeing on one phone on the other phone, if that makes sense. Use it as a monitor, which is great, which is useful because it's great if you want to frame yourself, because the screen on the phone right now is on the other side because I'm not using my my front facing camera. I'm using the better quality 1x camera on the iPhone 15 Pro Max. So this lens screws on using a 17mm thread, just like the AliExpress one. And 17mm thread is the most kind of popular at the moment. Most cases and so on come with a 17. It's a universal thread mount where this just screws into, and it changes your 1x camera lens into an anamorphic lens. The weight of this is great. I'll talk about the disadvantage of that in a second, but just the general quality of this is excellent. And I use this predominantly in India to do all my filming on. I had it on my phone at 90 degrees on a tripod, and the tripod on my shoulder. So I didn't use the gimbal. I did take a gimbal with me. I recently bought an Instaflow Pro 2. The thing about that, as great as it is, I bought it because the deployment on it is you just open it in one swoop and it's ready to go. It's MagSafe as well. The case I use is MagSafe as well. Just clip it on, magnetize it on even, and just one swoop and the gimbal is activated. However, this lens is too heavy for the gimbal. By the time we put an ND filter on as well, and then maybe a microphone receiver, it's just not going to handle it. Most gimbals, unknowingly to me, because I am an amateur, 300 grams to 500 grams is the sort of average weight limit on a smaller size gimbal. But one thing I also thought about is, in my mind, I thought to myself, the small gimbal, easy for traveling, so on and so forth. However, there's never a time when I personally need to pull my gimbal out just, quickly at the drop of a hat and deploy it and start using it. So after doing some sort of videos on the go, which are non-work related videos, I found that I wasn't using my gimbal at all in India, especially mainly because I was using this lens, but also the fact that I put the phone on a tripod at 90 degrees and just put it on my shoulder, and it just worked. The phone was always ready to film and ready to go. But there were times I wish I did have a gimbal because I would have got much smoother content, smoother videos. So I think this lens, this is 4 to 5 times more than the AliExpress lens. But frankly, it's worth every penny. So much so that I bought two. I bought the neutral one and I bought the gold lens one as well, the gold flare one. The lens flares are quite, I haven't massively used them, but when I was in India filming stuff like under the trees and so on, you facing up and you kind of get that hint of sunshine, and it sort of creates a nice lens flare, which is always nice visually to see on video. Yeah, so in conclusion, between these kind of lenses, I thoroughly recommend these. If your budget allows you to buy a Freewell lens or some of the other brands, I can't speak on behalf of the other brands. There's Shift something or other, Beast Grip, and all these kind of different brands that do them. But Freewell for me is definitely the one. Then gimbal. We just touched on the gimbal subject for a second. What ended up happening is when I got back from my trip, I started researching on different gimbals to purchase, and I found the Feiyu Tech Scorp 2 to be the one I was more likely going to go for. I was watching videos and so on, and then I thought to myself, you know what, I like this this gimbal. I like the fact that it's got AI tracking. Some of the other ones have AI tracking as well, which is done by a camera that's installed on the gimbal itself, and the fact that that tracking isn't only compatible if you're using their native app. You can use any app, whether you're using Blackmagic or the Apple's own camera app, whatever. The tracking works with it because it's installed into the gimbal itself. And I'll demonstrate that in a second. But one of the big reasons that I was put off by buying a bigger gimbal, one that's really primarily for an actual camera, I have no intention of shooting on an actual camera. I'm super happy with the way the iPhone films, and I'm pretty much going to stick to that. Although never say never. So this gimbal that I bought now could work with an actual proper camera, but this definitely works with my phone, the lens, the microceiver, the ND filter, and maybe in the future I might film onto an SSD directly, which I can still install on this with a cage or rig or whatever, and the gimbal will be more than capable of handling it. But one of the bigger things that put me off before was the fact that when you watch the videos on how you balance them, I thought you've got to do this every single time. It's going to be a faff, blah 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 blah. But once I did it once, the Feiyu Tech has these red symbols where you can just when you put it away, you can make it as small as possible. But then when you set it up again, you move the little markers into position, and you're good to go. And more often than not, I use the same kind of lens. I use the same camera, same phone for every session of shooting. So it actually works much better than I thought it would. I bought the Scorp 2 kit, which comes with a carbon fiber extension pole, which is great for some of those kind of running along the ground and then coming up at the end and, revealing your subject, whether it be a car or a person or whatever. But it also has the wheel on it. The wheel is great because it gives you can either control your tilt, your pan, your roll. Roll I don't think I'll ever use, but the pan and tilt for sure, because you might want to, pan into something, you might want to tilt up to reveal something or tilt down, whichever way around. But it gives you much better, I find it gives you much better adjustment, a much better feel rather than the joystick. I've always found joysticks and gimbals. I've had 2 DJI ones and then the Instaflow Pro 2 and now this Feiyu Tech Scorp, and I find the wheel is much better than the actual joystick to control it, because you can never predict the speed of it. You press it and it's all gone too far and it's sort of woo the other way. Yeah, so based on those things, I thoroughly recommend the Feiyu Tech Scorp 2. And again, I'm no major expert, but the chances if you're watching this and you're a novice like me, the gimbal is going to be way above and beyond what you will ever need it for. The weight for this, the weight of the gimbal is heavier, and also the handle is a great kind of shape, because using both hands you get much more stable shots. But speaking of stable, because of the weight of it, if you're holding something heavier, your hands will move less than if you're holding a super light gimbal. The Instaflow Pro 2 is so light when you're, yes, the gimbal will negate some kind of left-right movement and so on, but if your hands are shaking up and down for whatever reason, you're going to catch those jerks in the video footage more. Whereas if you've got a heavier gimbal, it's just about heavy enough where it's not too heavy to practically use, but it's heavy enough to keep your footage even more stable. What else? Last but not least, we need to talk about the tracking capability of this gimbal. One of the things I love about this gimbal and some of the other ones is the AI tracking. And the AI tracking is great because it means you don't have to use the manufacturer's app. Feiyu Tech don't even have an app, but some of the gimbals that have tracking, you have to use their own app. You can't use Blackmagic or the iPhone's actual camera app and so on and so forth. I prefer to use a Blackmagic app. So this is great because the AI technology is built into the gimbal itself, and it works in the way of a camera. There's a camera with a light underneath it. It's a red light if it's not tracking. There's a green light if it's tracking. I talk with my hands, and I found that often the gimbal has just thought that I've done the symbol that it needs to track, and it starts tracking. And frankly, that can be a little bit annoying. I need to look into the settings of, how you can turn that off, but then it means when you want to turn it on, you can't turn it on. But anyway, it works by doing this symbol, and you can see, just move there, and it will follow my face, basically. So, for example, here is my 1986 300 SL. I've had this for about a year now, and I'm really excited about doing a video on this. This just came out of the garage the other day. It's been in there for 6 months. So I'm going to get it MOT'd and get it ready for the road. And then this here is my daily car, which is electric. It's an Audi e-tron 2022 Audi e-tron GT, which is basically, I don't like to say it, but it's the poor man's Porsche Taycan. Yeah, that keeps all the petrol heads at bay. So as you can see, it's doing a great job of tracking me. However, if you notice, I'm in the center of the frame, pretty much. So if I want to, say I'm presenting something which has information or scenery to my right, I would do this gesture. I'd move across, and I would do that again. And now you can see the camera is filming more to my right hand side, which is great because it means you can film by the rule of thirds, or you might just have something in the background that you want to speak about and you don't want to be slap bang in the middle of the frame. And once I do that again, oh, it's turned it off now. So you've got to get used to these gestures, isn't it? There we go. That's that'll do. So the hands thing, if you're like me, might become a slight challenge. But I've only been using this for a few weeks now, so maybe it's me that needs to get used to it. Yeah, in summary, it's an absolutely awesome gimbal, and the lenses I talked about. If you're someone who is just going to mess around with the whole anamorphic thing, and you're not going to, I love it because I love film. So a lot of my videos recently have been in the anamorphic, whether it's me talking or in the office. I love the shape of it because it reminds me of a film. This lens is really nifty. And like I said, it's only 30 or 35 pounds, so it's well worth the value. The only bad thing is you can't put ND filters on it. So if you're going to do stuff that's a bit more advanced, I would wholeheartedly recommend buying the Freewell lenses. I've got, as I said, the neutral one and the gold one, and I absolutely love them. They're, I'll leave it with some footage at the end from mainly the Freewell, or in fact only the Freewell lens, because that's pretty much what I've used. The neutral one, and I'll try and get some footage of the gold one if I can. But there's loads of YouTube videos. If like me, you're currently if you're watching this right now, the chances are you've also already watched other videos and you're just kind of looking for some footage or looking for someone to give you enough advice to say, you know what, yeah, I'm going to get that. So yeah, that's pretty much that. If anyone has anything to say, please feel free to comment. Any corrections on any mistakes I may have had, or if anyone's got any questions about this equipment that I haven't covered in the video, please, don't feel free to comment, or can you message on YouTube? I don't know, but yeah, just leave a comment. And also, if you like what you've seen, you like the stuff that I've posted, if you like classic cars, then I'm sure there's going to be more content as the weather gets nicer and nicer. It's kind of the first week of nice weather here in the UK, so I shall leave it here. Thank you for watching, and I'm going to just let some video play of the cars and just some footage from both the gimbal and the Freewell lens itself. So yeah, once again, thank you for watching. See you next time.